worth it. Every time I could
You know,
come,
I would love to be that happy-go-lucky person, you know. But again, you know, it's not until, and I just was talking with Hridaya, and I'll put some of this out online, it's not until really you get to that point where your button is pushed, where you want to fight and flight, that you can really progress. And eventually everybody's going to have that button. Now, the metal is whether you stay or you run. It's easy to stay when it's all fun and games.
well, and that's
You
another
know?
thing where people can think, all these people that were so far ahead of us are leaving. And so is this because this doesn't work? I don't believe it is. I believe it's because it's when the truth comes, the moment of the truth comes, of really giving up, of really letting go, they cannot hold on to it.
It's when, exactly, it's when it comes, and it will come, like I said, this is what we're just now talking about. There will come a point of time where you are challenged. Just like this last thing. I put up the one video. It absolutely challenged to the max. Everything that they had thought they had built up around, you know, was now crumbling. The facade was going to drop. So rather than stay in the midst of that, they run. They run, they leave, they go. You know, this is when the time to stay. That's the time when one needs to stay. You know, we all come to this type of thing, like it with my own guru. It came to that point.
Exactly.
He turned around and he was like 2 feet in front of my face and yelled as loud as he could, "You idiot, you fool, you know nothing."
But that's the thing, we know about that. We know
Exactly.
we have to get to that point.
But when it comes to actually your turn, and I've never yelled at anybody's face, you know, not like that. Well, no, I take it back. There is one person I have to yell at on occasion, but that's that's something else. But no, I've never taken where I sat there and yelled at somebody's face like that with that kind of energy. And it was, like I said, so strong, I literally could not speak for 3 days.
But again, that's what you need. Either you go or you break,
exactly.
Right?
But it's at that point you want to fight and you want to flight. You want to, you want to deck them and you want to run. But, if you stay at that point, that's the time where you can be thrown in on yourself. If you're not projecting out, and I'm going to fight, flight, I'm going to blame, I'm going to run, I'm going to go. If you sit at that point and you really go within, that's when you can start to cut stuff. But before that, it's all fun and games. But everybody will reach a point where it's not fun and games. Now we're down to brass tacks. This is the tough part. And like I said, eventually if people are to a point where they can get to realization and you got to go through that death experience, that's a whole other thing too. I mean, it's not a symbolic thing. This is what I've said. It really feels like you're going to die or you're going to be possessed. You don't know what it is. It's scary. It's the scariest thing you'll ever go through, but you have to willingly lay yourself down and let it come. Come do your worst, and God either pulls me through or doesn't. And that's, terrifying. It's terrifying at that point. But one has to lay themselves down willingly. So again, this is why I appear so, hardcore with people, because I want to prepare people for that. Get ready. It's not all laughter and fun and games. If I'm all hee all the time and this and, oh baby, it's okay, and just, mollifying everybody, when it comes, they will never have enough hardness or strength to stand and stay with it. Hopefully by that time, when that time comes, you've got enough moxie, you've got enough strength behind you, you've faced enough that you can stand and not run and not crumble, not just take off, because that's what it takes. So again, for here, it's also the learning experience. What works, what doesn't work.
Of course, and it's natural.
This is not a rote set of a belief system. This is not it, and with everybody, you got to work a little differently.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We're all different. We all come from different places in life. We all have different, I don't know, previous lives or whatever you want to call, I don't know.
Well, exactly.
But each person is a different one, and there shouldn't be any comparisons to the next one.
Exactly.
There's no comparison.
Exactly.
I mean,
and
on our little group here in Oxford,
mm-hmm.
I mean, we're all so different.
Exactly.
The same devotion, but we're all so different.
Exactly.
Because we are in different places in our life.
Exactly. And that's why the guru has to get to know the people. That's what it takes. That's why it takes that. What pushes your button will not push another button.
Yeah, exactly.
When I say something, you'll hear one thing, they'll hear another thing. That's why it's a matter of time, and it could be years before you get to your really button pushing stage, but eventually it will come. You'll hear something. You'll hear something that you say, that's it. No, I'm not going for that. I'm not, and it's all fun and games up to that point.
I know.
All fun and games.
I mean, I don't want to be calling for anything else, but it's something that I've been inquiring myself almost since the beginning. Why is it so easy for me? Why am I always in this state of bliss? Why is it so easy to close my eyes and be gone? I'm always waiting for the moment it's going to change.
Yeah,
it's so easy.
Exactly, and it can go like that for years.
And I understood.
It's called the honeymoon stage.
Yeah.
Now you're in the honeymoon stage, and it's a wonderful place to be. But when people start coming out of that honeymoon stage, then all of a sudden something's wrong. I should be blissful. It should be easy, but that's not the truth of it. And that's why I try. I'm harder. I'm tougher because I want to prepare people for that. Yeah. The honeymoon stage has to end, and one has to finally come to that point where the core of your being is shaken, and I mean you are just really thrust into the fire. And that's what, again, the same thing. The Bible says, you're tried by fire. And that dross needs to be burned away. Well, it's not going to be burned away when it's party, happy time. That's not happening.
One thing I understood a long time ago, even though it's enjoyable to, be able to close my eyes and immediately go to bliss, it's also a distraction,
Well, yeah.
I know it's a distraction. I know this is not it.
It's exactly. It's one of the stages one goes through. And that's, it can be pretty early in the journey that one opens to that bliss and everything is blissful and it's all God and it's all wonderful. And that's fine. That's one stage of the journey. The stage of the journey of I can manifest and what I want and I can let go and this happens and this and that and all of these, that happens. Okay, there are different. There are different. Yeah, and that's fine. There are different stages.
I glimpse of that's not it. Of course, I'm not always in bliss. Sometimes there's cleaning coming and it cleans, and I'm okay. But sometimes I have this glimpse of almost what it is, and I know for sure it's not it. It's just
exactly. It's not it.
The body is just a trap.
Exactly, and so there, like I said, there is further to go. A lot of people they'll get in bliss mode, or they'll go, and then they'll have the first falling away of that first sense of quiet. The mind, you hear some quiet, and that's not exactly what's being talked about. You will hear silence, you will hear it, but eventually the mind totally stills. But all of these things come in stages. But you've got to be ready that it's not always going to be the yellow brick road to Oz. And that's what people get confused about. And they think that when I'm on the spiritual journey, it should always be fun and games. It should always be easy. And it should always be blissful. And so when the thing comes to really rock their world, when we really can get into the hard stuff, when you really can start to stop and encounter yourself and encounter the fears and encounter the stuff that's driving, that's when they run. And then they run and they look for another path and say, I've gotten so far. And, again, they want to convince themselves that they're already there. Because I don't want to do the heavy, hard work. I want to think I'm already there. It's much easier to say, I want to play the game and I want to continue to be blissful. I want to make the talk, but I don't want to walk all the walk. I'm just going to walk part way. I want to buy the cubic zirconia and say I got a diamond because it's shiny.
But that's why, Guruji, I don't criticize other people because I don't know when that happens to me where I'm going to be, and I cannot make any promises neither. So
exactly.
All I'm trying to do is look at what's going on, learn with their experience, and get ready.
Exactly, because I guarantee at some point it will come. You will hear something that's going to challenge you to your core that you don't want to hear. And it's all good as long as it's something you want to hear, then the teacher's great. If you hear something that challenges you and your belief systems, etc., then that's it. Sometimes all bets are off.
I don't know if it will be quite that, because I have to admit the friends that I'll look for to talk are not the ones that say yes with me, because those don't add anything to my life. It's really exactly the other ones, the ones that will contradict and make me think and progress. So I don't know if it's going to be like that, but I mean, I don't know. It doesn't matter.
We'll wait and see.
Yeah.
That's all.
Thank you so much. It was nice to talk to you, and I'm looking forward to see you next week.
Yeah,
but we can make a good
celebration
without the clouds above our heads, right?
Yeah. So I'll try to take some of this video. I think that we can use some of this and put it online, and it will be beneficial. I want people to know this is why. At the beginning, when everything fell away and realization first took place, again, there's a honeymoon stage for that as well.
I know it's not that.
You get numerous honeymoon stages. When everything first falls away, you're in this floaty realm still, and it's all love. It's still all love and bliss in another, in another realm of love and bliss, etc. And it takes a good 10 years to finally settle. But when you start to get that depth and stuff, that people, you can't keep them in the fun and games the whole time. They need to progress, and they need to get to deeper waters. So you need to toughen them up and get them ready for that, to understand this is what needs to come. This is the path, and this is what needs to happen and where one has to get to. And if you're going to abdicate and think it's always going to be fun and games, then that, if the path is always easy, then that's not the path. That's not.
I had the feeling it was not that.
Right.
It's just a distraction. It's just a distraction.
It's part of it, and it's part of the journey, okay? It's not the whole of the journey, but some people want to make it, that's the whole of the journey, and I want to stop there, and that's it. I'm not going to ever go into deeper waters. I want to convince myself that I'm already at the full depths because I'm in bliss mode, and I'm happy, I'm happy, therefore I've made it. But the proof is in the pudding, because in the personal lives, they will still be in some suffering.
Well, I can tell you about that I noticed that things, I still have the emotions, like you said, everyone still has the emotions. We don't lose the emotions, and
exactly.
I still get upset. But once it comes out, it goes back to that peace. It's gone. It doesn't hold anymore,
Yeah,
and
which
that
is
changed
good.
a lot, because I used to internalize all that and cooking it and revisit it.
Exactly.
So it comes out and back to...
Which is good. Good. And that's what happens, in the end, that's what remains, Yes, when an activity is happening and somebody's being very hurtful, very painful to you, you feel it. In the depths of your being, you feel it. But it's like a wave, and then it's gone. And then it's gone, and one just stays, even in the midst of that. With realization, there's no mind spin about it. One can see the situation, and the body reacts, and that emotional stuff reacts, but there's no mental drama about it that's reacting, that keeps that fuel going for a long period, And again, so that's the difference.
I'm still far from realization, and I can already start feeling that. So. It is working. The pudding, it is working.
It's working. Well, that's good. I'm glad. I'm glad it's working. So we'll go ahead and close this out for now.
Okay.
And it's good to talk to
Thanks
you.
for your time. You too. Namaste.
Okay, namaste. Bye.